Hi, y'all. This is Kristen Chenoweth.
Hi, I'm Gloria Stefan.
This is Sarah Bareilles.
Hi, I'm Patty Lapone.
This is Lin-Manuel Miranda. You're listening to the Broadway Podcast Network.
Hello, I'm Jesse McAnally.
And I'm Andrew DeWolf.
And I'm Liz Eston.
And welcome to Musicals with Cheese, a podcast where I try to get Andrew and Liz to like musical theater. And today, for the first time in a very long while, we have not one, but two extra special guests.
Two guests?
We're going to drop two like that? We haven't had any in a long time.
And hey, we got to make up for lost time. Speaking of time, they have a time travel-ish related podcast. Please join me in welcoming the host of Who Is My Doctor, the podcast, Cassie Shima and Zach Hurst.
Hi. What is this? A crossover episode?
Hey, they said the thing for that other show. How are you two doing today?
We're so good at cross synergy. We promote other shows that have nothing to do with either of our shows.
Exactly. 10 out of 10. Perfect game. For those who may not know, why don't you introduce yourselves? Because I feel like mine was just a very B- job.
Sure. We'll do my best here. I'm not great at this elevator pitch yet, so I'll do the best I can. Cassie and I are the host of a podcast called Who Is My Doctor?
Yeah, who is my doctor?
Who is indeed. Every episode, I show her a new episode of Doctor Who or a new story from Doctor Who. Primarily, we're doing the new series. We are taking a little dips into the classic series, but because the new series is the one most people are familiar with, and obviously the most easily accessible, both from a streaming standpoint and from a modern TV standpoint. That's the main thing I've been showing her. But we have a good time. Every episode, I make Cassie guess what's going to be in the story, and she sometimes gets it right, and sometimes she doesn't. And sometimes she gets really mad that she doesn't.
I want to say it reminds me of the things I loved early on about me and Andrew starting this show, where I tried to show him musical theater when he knew nothing about musical theater, where the one person who knows a lot and the one person that doesn't is entering the world. It is such a wonderful dynamic and very keen for me and very much tickles all the brain parts that I like. So congratulations on this show. You're on season 3. There's a lot more to go, and there's 60 years of it. Come on, let's...
Well, it was what was one thing when you had invited us on, Cassie checked it out. I was like, yeah, the reason he wants us on is because it's basically the same show, the fast-talking smartass.
You're not wrong.
And the guy that's just along for the ride.
Yeah, I'm just happy to be here most of the time.
Well, the reason why that ties in today's theme is, British TV show and British theater, meet in the middle. Let's do the Goes Wrong show, specifically Peter Pan Goes Wrong. Cue the music. What's going on? Keep going. Stop the revolt! Stop the revolt!
You look great. You look great. You look beautiful. You look beautiful. On the 70s, what better life is there? And better best beware. And better best beware. Yo-ho, that pirate life, the flag of skull and bones. A merry hour, a Hempton Rope, and a hay for Davy Jones.
Come on! Peter Pan Goes Wrong is a play written by Henry Lewis, Jonathan Sayer, and Henry Shields, based on J.M. Barrie's Peter Pan. This has to be the 900th Peter Pan adaptation we've talked about on this show, and easily my favorite. It played on Broadway at the Ethel Barrymore Theater for a limited 16 and a half weeks, beginning March 17, 2023, with an opening night set for April 19, 2023, featuring a majority of the original cast from the London cast. On April 3rd, you had Neil Patrick Harris joining the cast for a limited engagement. That was pretty neat. It is since wrapped up and is now, I think, starting a national tour pretty soon. The plot of Peter Pan Goes Wrong is the fictitious Cornley Polytechnic Dramatic Society attempts to stage a production of the 1904 J.M. Barrie play Peter and Wendy, which is repeatedly ruined by amateurism and personal rivalries of the cast and crew, and the insistence that the director believes it is a serious play rather than a pantomime. So
Also, Jess, you're completely incorrect. You've only talked about Peter Pan once.
that's not true. We talked about Finding Neverland as
Okay.
well.
That's kind of Peter Pan.
That barely counts.
That's Peter Pan.
Adaptation.
If Captain
Oh,
Hook shows
right.
up,
I'm just here to do research.
If Captain Hook is in it, then it's Peter Pan. House of Mouse is Peter Pan. Damn
Once upon
it.
a time is Peter Pan.
Duh. That's how all good Peter Pan adaptations happen.
you know what? There's not a good Peter Pan adaptation without Captain Hook in it, so I rest my case.
You haven't watched Once Upon a Time, clearly, but that's a different podcast. So
Yeah. Peter Pan's in that show too. He murders people.
Yeah. He does murder people.
For clarity of information and what we're bringing to the table, Zach and Cassie saw this show live, like the proper live production, where me, Liz, and Andrew are talking about the lowly BBC Christmas special. Have you, Cassie and Zach, have you seen the Christmas special, the hour-long one?
Christmas Carol Goes Wrong. Yes, we have watched
Not
that.
the Christmas Carol. Because they did the
Oh, you mean
Peter Pan
the
Goes
oh
Wrong.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
The
yes.
one that we literally watched but an hour ago.
I don't think of it as the Christmas one because we watched it. I
They
think, in like
said
March.
it's the Christmas special like 4 times in
Mom,
the
Dad,
content.
stop fighting!
So yes, we have seen it.
Yeah, the entire time I was like, our connecting threads here is that it's published by the BBC. Doctor Who is published by the BBC. That's the synergy.
The threadest of threadbare connections we could find.
That, and for the weeks leading up to this, I've mentioned in every one of our episodes Doctor Who's quote Peter Pan impish quality.
Is that your
There was
attempt
one
to
episode
brand?
I cut it out because she laid it on so thick. I was like, I don't know where you're going with this.
I mean, shit, I don't want to say spoilers for your show, so I won't do that. So I'm gonna track Andrew. This is your first time watching this. You
Of
love
course.
fucking slapstick more than anything else. What was your general thoughts on this?
Man, they really fuck up the set like pretty bad, and all the actors. They do a damn good job. They kill one of the actors, and maybe 2 of the actors. The set gets completely
3 people nearly
chainsawed.
die.
It's really it's pretty good. And then they destroy other sets too. Like they run it through the Teletubbies and the newsroom. Like all those British tax.
Don't forget about Eggheads.
Oh, Eggheads, yes.
I couldn't tell if that was a real show. I was like, do British people watch this? I don't know.
I feel like it's a real show because it's stupid.
I mean, the more destruction over on Turf Island, I can only believe is a net positive.
No, but they really did a great job. It's very fucking funny.
It's nice for you to be positive about something for once. Liz,
been a
did you like
while.
it as well?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm a sucker for just dumb slapstick for an hour when it's really good slapstick. It's okay, this is really well thought out slapstick too. It's all planned to a T. The table having the plank in the middle be loose, but everyone keeps forgetting it's loose. They keep getting hit in the face or the nuts. So good.
And they wait just until the audience forgets where the setup is, and then it's great. But now back to Zach and Cassie. How does it compare to the actual live production? Because it is half the length. So I'm wondering what I'm missing.
So some big key things is that obviously on the stage production, you don't have as many cut to camera outside filming in parks or filming in other BBC studios. Everything is presented on the stage. They don't have any screen set up. So we didn't get any of the newsreels or Captain Hook being in the park or in a pool. And then the ending,
And there are no Teletubbies to speak of.
No Teletubbies in the stage production, unfortunately. But we had the immeasurable pleasure of, we saw it last June at the Amundsen Theater on one of the select nights that they had Neil Patrick Harris as the narrator. And so there was a whole other like chunk of the play that was literally just, we have Neil Patrick Harris, let's let him fuck around for a little bit.
Yeah, I'll send you the picture of this, but at the beginning of the film of the TV version, they sort of introduce you to the concept of the Cornley Drama Society. In the stage show, they don't do that. In the stage show, stuff is going wrong before the show even starts.
It's like a fat 45 minutes before the curtain goes up, that they have each one of the actors literally either running around in the theater, like screaming at each other across the theater. Where we were sitting, it was a little bit higher up in the mezzanine, but right up against the railing. We were kind of over towards the door. And at one point I looked over and went, is that? No, that can't be. That's not Neil Patrick Harris fully pretending to be fast asleep in the row next to us. Surely that's not him.
Yeah, it's 5 minutes till the show is supposed to start. Neil Patrick Harris is napping not 6 feet in front of us. And then the guy that plays Trevor runs up to come get him and is super mad at all the people taking selfies with napping Neil Patrick Harris.
Because
He's like, he could have been dead.
Yeah.
But you also see there's I remember distinctly there was at one point a balloon is in like the audience, and Chris Bean is trying so hard to get the balloon out of the audience. And even though people are just like bopping it around like a volleyball, he does eventually get it in his hands and then immediately falls face forward, and the balloon is right back into the
It's very Muppets.
Yeah,
I don't know.
very, yeah.
Getting Muppet vibes.
Muppet.
On stage they're spending the entire time before the show starts fixing the electrical. Like there are lights that are inside the Darling's house that aren't turning on, and so they literally have like cables that you would use to like jump a car, and they're strapping them to every light, hoping that they will work.
So that's one of the gags that I don't think is in the recorded thing, is them missing light cues because the lights don't work.
Yeah.
And having those sound effects for the lights trying to work but not.
Yeah, there's a lot of chunks that are either just different because it's a different medium, or it's been expanded upon because they're not trying to fit to a TV time slot. They can play with the audience a bit more. One of the parts that I think that Cassie and I remember most strongly is when Hook is trying to open the bottle with a hand he doesn't have. In the TV one, he just takes the hook off and unscrews it really quickly. In the stage show, he abjectly refuses to take the hook off, and so people start yelling at him to, like, someone in our audience yelled to use his teeth, and he's like, "I'm not going to use my teeth. That's embarrassing. That's degrading." And so he hands it to the person that yelled it and said, "You take it off with your teeth." No, with your teeth.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes, "You wanted your independence. This is what it looks like."
But it's him. It's him yelling in the way that we'll just refer to him as Chris Bean, not the actual actor, the character playing the actor. It's the way though that he loves shouting. He loves shouting so much. So it's him not just like cockily saying like, "You wanted your independence. This is what it looks like." It's him standing up and like taking a big breath of air and saying, "You wanted your independence. This is what it looks like." Audience goes wild.
And then Neil Patrick Harris is as a host. I don't know how particular this was for every other narrator they had. Neil Patrick Harris is way more involved in the show than being just the narrator.
Yeah.
He came on as a pirate on more than one occasion. At one point, he's supposed to hand Captain Hook a gun, but he doesn't. It didn't get put in his pocket, and so he said he pulls out a playbill for the musical Six and whips it into the shape of a gun and says, "Here, it be a 6-shooter."
Of course.
I mean, that all sounds lovely, and it makes me a little upset that they didn't film a more full and complete version of that. Like,
Because another before we like fully move on, another like main key difference is the very end, which I remember watching going, this is utter pandemonium, because the stage itself is rotating, and they have it in the recorded version as well. But on the staged version, the stage as it's revolving gets faster and faster with each rotation. So at one point, every actor is tripping over each other, bursting through each doorway and any open wall that they've kicked and caved in. And it gets to a point where they are fully sprinting and still trying to like do the dialogue and do all the things that they need to do, while the stage is just going faster and faster and faster. And lights are flickering and turning on when they weren't at the beginning of the show. And it was chaos. I loved it.
I mean, as far as any other stage shows you've seen, like what made this one kind of stand out?
It is the fact that everything is going wrong, and because for those of you listening at home, I went to school for theater. I too have my BA in theater arts. I specifically went more for costuming, but I also do a fair share of stagecraft and props and all of that fun stuff. It's watching shows like this, though, where everything is orchestrated to go wrong, and having that background in theater and recognizing and understanding that it is running like a finely tuned machine, because the things that have to go wrong correctly, or else people are going to get seriously injured. And so it's watching shows like this, specifically anything that comes from, this particular theater group, where you know that everybody is being careful and safe, but that they are doing it in such a way where you as the audience member cannot tell how careful and crucial everything that is going on is. And then when things accidentally go wrong, it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. It just kind of blends in with everything. And that's my thoughts. Zach, what are your thoughts?
For me, the difference is like how deeply committed they were to the bit. Because specifically in the stage show, like I said, they were setting up things that were going to go wrong before the show even started.
We found our playbill that we had left it. Zach and I both have ADHD. We don't remember to clean things, so it's been living in his car for the past year.
So when you get to the show, the first thing you'll notice immediately is that the cover has been miscut. And then there are ads inside. Because, people, they're like part of the playbill, you sell ad space to make the money for the theater. In the playbill, there are fake ads put out by the characters. So let me just find a good example of one here.
I think there's one of Brian specifically advertising that he can tell your future, but only if you call him tomorrow.
Yeah, so there's one. Robert is one of the Henrys. Is one of his characters. He's the one who plays the very boisterous actor that speaks like this all the time. If you want a specific example. He has an ad taken out called Midnight Meditation. Join me on a journey into you. I hold the key to enlightenment. In 6 sessions, I guarantee you will find happiness. But then at the bottom, his email is robertgoodactor@hotmail.com. And at the very bottom, it says happiness is not guaranteed. Fees are non-refundable. There's somewhere in here where it says they're looking for someone who's trained to do the wire work. So for me, it's just like how 3-dimensional they have, maybe even 4-dimensional in a way, where they have decided to take some of these bits, so that there is not an ounce of your experience from beginning to end where you are not being told how stupid this is going to be.
I mean, I love all these things, and I saw the original, The Play That Goes Wrong, 1,000 years ago, and that is more murder mystery and a little different than this. Have you encountered the rest of their brand outside of Christmas Carol Goes Wrong? And have you watched the full series? Like the full TV show they did?
We've seen the first season that's available on
YouTube.
YouTube. The second season we have been waiting desperately for it to come to, but the only place it seems to be available is on the Broadway streaming service. That's name is escaping me right now.
Yeah. Broadway HD.
Yeah, Broadway HD. Yes, thank you.
I struggle with that because I worry that if they brand this too much, the joke's gonna get old. And that really breaks my heart to think about.
Well, the thing that makes it work, in my opinion, like the way it's worked consistently, is it's not just they're a group of actors where stuff goes wrong. They are playing characters that are each in their own way specifically inept at something.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, they also all have their own strengths and ways too. So like Chris Bean is one of the better actors of the bunch, but he clearly has so much pride that it is constantly his downfall. Meanwhile, you get Dennis, who can never remember his own lines to save his life, but
remembers everybody else's lines.
Yeah, but is miraculously fantastic at remembering everyone else's. To the point where there are scenes in the Goes Wrong show where he is accidentally performing everyone else's lines except for his own.
I think it's in the pilot, not the pilot, where they have his lines written on set pieces. And so there's one scene of him just running around picking up things and reading the lines in the wrong order.
That is Christmas Carol.
It is a Christmas Carol.
Yeah, it is Christmas Carol.
Yeah, Christmas Carol does.
Oh, that's right, because he's Marley.
Yeah, he like pours wine and like he starts pouring it to read his lines and getting liquid all over the table.
Yeah, it's the fact that it's not, like I said, it's not just them. The bit is not just what can go wrong here. It's how do these specific characters create things that go wrong? How do they react to the things that go wrong? So that's how I think it leans into this sort of TV approach where it can go on for a while because it's character work.
And because they're playing in the theatrical space, there's another one that is The Trial, where they have sets that are divided right in the middle. So if the set is operating correctly, you should have two halves of a living room coming into the center of the stage at the same time. There's a living room, there's a doctor's office, and there's a gym. But because each one of those sets is divided in half, sometimes you get the right half is the living room, the left half is the doctor's office. And in the lore of that particular production, the building team misread the instructions from inches and built everything in centimeters. So you have 6 or 7 actors in what looks like a 10 by 10 like square, just crowded in with teeny tiny props. And it's something that, because they're playing, not only like the actors are taking this bit very serious, but they're also playing with the theater conceit of they're in a set, but the set is fucked up.
Yeah.
It's just fun.
I agree. There is something inherently British about this. Like,
absolutely.
It's very dry.
Specifically, I'm trying to imagine an alternative version where they try to do Americans putting on this show, like an American interpretation of Goes Wrong show as opposed to just it being done in America. And
Mhm.
I'm not sure that would work.
That
American
wouldn't
humor is just
work.
very different.
Mm-mm.
There's not enough
I think
repression.
The only way that you could get it to work, because you said an American version, I went, oh, It's Always Sunny.
But that's a different kind of chaos and a
Exactly.
different kind of relationship.
That would be just a bunch of assholes putting on a show, which we watched that too. When we covered the Dayman.
Dayman, fighter of the night man, champion of the sun, you're a master of karate and friendship for everyone. Dayman, fighter of the night man, champion of the sun, you're a master of karate and friendship for everyone. Dayman.
I guess when we talk about all the injuries that happen on the set, I think it would just be depressing in America to consider the medical bills because every single one of them are going to be fucking destitute by the end of the show.
Well, also,
like,
we
It's
already
like
had
Spider-Man,
We already had Spider-Man.
oh yeah, we have Spider-Man.
No.
The real show
The
that
real
went wrong.
show that goes wrong, Spider Returns.
See, but that's the thing, is that they didn't have people who knew exactly what they were doing. They thought they knew what they were doing. Cough, cough, Bono. Cough, cough, not
He
not a
rewrote
composer.
U2 songs about Spider-Man. He really knew he was doing something.
Does everyone
Who
know
thought that Bono knows what he was doing?
Bono doesn't know anything.
Does anyone know about the Imagine Dragons fun fact about their connection to the Spider-Man musical?
Weren't they
What?
supposed
No.
to be the ones writing the music for it?
Yes, and they were like, so oftentimes when you have a Broadway musical coming, you just have a bunch of people write songs. That's why there's like random demos for Shrek. And if you listen to Joe Iconis' album, every last Broadway musical based on a movie from the last, he has a song that he wrote for that. Just ironically, he has a Beetlejuice song and A Death Becomes Her song. Yeah, there's also a musical coming up, but don't connect those two. You'd be a liar and a communist to connect them. But
You're making me a goblin.
but
Goblin.
the specific song that they wrote for that musical that everyone knows is Radioactive, which was
I
a
was gonna
Spider-Man the
say, is
musical
it
song.
fucking radioactive?
That's been debunked, apparently. Yeah,
By
according to
who?
Reddit, it's been debunked.
I
but,
want
like,
their sources because I heard that one from Julie Taymor once.
My sources, I made
The,
it
ni- the
fuck
90s
up.
show specifically guaranteed me he had radioactive spider blood.
he had radioactive spider.
I guess, but how about we move on to our next segment, Reviews, where we compare our opinions to those of the true critics over there, out there, and all around on Letterboxd.com.
Okay.
Oh God.
For those of you that don't know what's going on, including our guest, this is a game where you have to guess, just based on the real life Letterboxd review alone, whether it was a 1-star review or a 5-star review. And since I like putting Zach and Cassie up against each other, Liz, me, and Andrew are actually going to read these off, and you're going to keep score, if that's all right.
All right, partner, let's do a duel.
Okay, Andrew, whose team you want to lead? Zach or Cassie?
I'm gonna take Cassie, I think.
All right, Zach, it's you and me. We got this.
All right.
I'll go first.
I'm ready to keep. I'm also ready to keep score.
Thank
Not
you,
that
Liz.
anyone cares.
Thank you, Liz.
Not that anyone cares that there's a score.
Yeah, there's a score, so don't worry. Someone's gonna
Yeah,
keep
I'm
score, and if you win, you win.
You just
all right.
win pride.
Big prizes.
You win pride.
Bragging rights.
You win one of Cassie's Profassy points.
Oh my God, please.
Zach,
Yes.
here's the review.
All right.
Damn, this is on Letterboxd.
I mean, that's got to be a 5-star review, right?
That is correct. That's 1 point for you, Zach. Andrew.
All right. Here you go. It's a huge win for Crocodiles.
Oh, also 5-star.
That's right.
We are tied.
Got a tie game.
Yes, snap, snap.
Huge win for crocodiles, but huge loss for alligators.
Mm. All right,
Yeah,
Zach.
I mean, alligators had it coming.
Alligators.
All right,
alligators
let's
have had
keep going.
careers. They're gonna get canceled soon.
The bitch who played Tinkerbell is the best part of the whole show. I stand by that.
The bitch who played Tinkerbell. I appreciate that no matter how strongly this person felt, they did not bother to look up their name.
They never do.
The
They
name
don't
of
look up
the real
people's
actress
names.
or the character the actress is playing.
We don't have time for that.
No, they're
gonna
drunk
say-
watching it at night, and they just type it on their phone and hope that no
I-
one reads it on a podcast.
I'm gonna say a 1-star review for that one.
That is correct.
It was the use of bitch, where I was like, this is...
But sometimes it's
person's
the other
very
way
aggressive.
around. So good call.
All right.
What her name is.
We got the next one here.
I'm watching you, Cassie.
British culture doesn't exist. Oh, yeah? Well, what's this?
British culture doesn't exist.
Who says that? Who says British culture doesn't exist? Who are they quoting?
It's a direct quote from
It's a
our
direct
podcast.
quote. So
I
it's in
said it.
quotes.
Episode 102.
Our Margaritaville episode.
How did you know that off the top of your head?
Like, I mean, island culture. Like, I don't know.
Jimmy Buffett culture exists.
I mean, maybe Jimmy Buffett culture
I
is
guess-
British culture.
technically speaking, British culture is island culture.
It is an island, yeah. It's a
Burn it to
different
the
island.
ground.
It's just foggy and sad.
Like Silent Hill.
So this does feel more like a mixed review. I don't think that this is a full 5. I think this person went with like a 4.
No, it has to be a 1 or a 5.
It's a 1
It's
or
a
a 5.
binary.
It's a binary.
It's a binary.
This is
If
the
you're-
one place
if you're
the binary
closer
exists.
to 5.
She's prepared for trick questions.
I am always prepared for trick questions.
There's
Sorry, I
no
think
quick
this
questions.
might be my fault. The Cassie Profassian, who is my doctor, has totally corrupted Cassie's brain.
So
for
what
questions.
planet do you think the show takes place on?
Fuck! It's not a planet, it's a satellite. It's always a satellite or a rogue ship. Twice this has happened where ships are just kind of stuck and fucked. Anyways,
Andrew, I
Planets
love
basically
Doctor
are
Who.
satellites.
this feels like then a 5. We'll say 5.
That is correct.
Fuck,
Okay,
I
good.
don't want a perfect game here.
We might have a perfect
All right,
game,
you
Jess.
gotta give
We
it.
might.
You gotta give
We
it a
might.
hard one.
Give
then.
me
You
enough
got
time.
some real players on your hands here, Jesse and Andrew.
Give me enough time. I will talk myself into an answer and then out of an answer, and then I'll be really mad about it.
All right, Zach,
Yes, sir.
bury your gaze.
Ooh. I mean, what?
Yeah.
Nobody dies.
Everybody almost kind of dies.
Tinkerbell was dead for a minute.
Tinkerbell did die.
That's
Sorry,
Like straight up
that's
The
die.
bitch who played Tinkerbell.
Yeah, the bitch.
Excuse me.
Not better.
Her name is the bitch.
The bitch who played Tinkerbell.
We have the playbill here. We can just
Yeah.
check.
Character
No.
name is-
That's what I'll say.
no.
Oh, it does just say the bitch who plays Tinkerbell. Okay.
Well,
Look at that.
The bitch who is the first name. Tinkerbell
Her name is
last name.
Nancy. Her name is Nancy.
Her
Her name is Nancy, and
her
the character's place
actual
is
name.
Annie.
Yeah.
Yes, her name is Nancy. Let's respect Nancy.
The bitch who played Tinkerbell.
Nancy Zammit, also known as the bitch who played Tinkerbell.
You know
Credit
what?
to
If
you,
I had a
Nancy.
last name,
Which is funny,
Zammit.
'cause she plays like 5 or 6 characters in the show.
Yeah, she does. She was like 8 characters.
Super reductive. I'm gonna go with 1 star on this one too, Jesse.
That is a 5, and
Oh,
No, perfect game.
Curses.
Cassie, you can take the
You
lead
can get-
here.
Cassie, you get a lead.
We're still tied until you get it right, Cassie.
All right, Andrew, it's
All
all
right.
on you.
Fuck it up.
Don't forget about Andrew.
Do fuck it up, Cassie.
I don't know why this feels like a podcast, like we're fighting as podcasts right now.
All right, here we go.
Pod fight.
Pod fight.
Free on YouTube, so I watched.
Oh, 5 stars.
That's a 1-star review.
They're still tied.
No, free on YouTube, so I watched. That's all positive things.
It's a 1
It's
star.
sarcastic in this case.
Is it though?
It might
or do
be.
they just
I
not
don't
know
know.
what rating? they
Letterboxd
gave?
is weird.
Letterboxd
Free on
is-
YouTube,
some people-
who I watched want my money back.
Because that could have also been a free on YouTube, so I watched.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Zach,
So what
you ready?
think? Oh, am I ready? I'm ready now. Sure.
Not you, Dennis. Walk away.
Not you, Dennis. Walk away.
With those headphones.
Yeah. I mean, if they're quoting it, that's got to be a 5-star.
That is correct.
That theory is
That
always
is
correct.
always right.
Crazy how they cut to the audience and every middle-aged British man looked exactly the same.
That's true of any audience in Britain.
Except for Mamma
Not true
Mia.
of any audience, no matter where you go. All middle-aged men canonically look the same.
True. You're
Boy,
right.
I feel so called out being one of the 3 middle-aged men on this show.
Yeah, Jesse and I both have our windswept hair and
I was
ginger
just
beards.
thinking, canonically speaking, you pan to any audience anywhere, and everybody looks the same. Looks over into camera and sees 3 iterations of Zach, and also 3 iterations of Liz and Cassie.
Liz and Cassie.
I
I
want
appreciate
y'all to have-
having 2 women
the
here as
factory that
well.
built
It
us was
adds
really
more
working
energy for
overtime.
me.
2 brunette women as well. I like
2
having
brunette
that.
women on the same podcast. We should be fighting.
No, we should add a blonde, and then suddenly the entire dynamic gets thrown off.
Oh, man. pan to the audience. Every middle-aged British man looks the same. That sounds so... It's ambivalent. It's ambivalent at best. Oh my goodness. Okay, here we go. I
feel like I went
This is-
1 or 5.
Yeah,
I
this
have
is
a tiebreaker just in case.
this is a peek into what it also looks like when Zach gives me a question that I know the answer to, but I pick 2 different ones, and then I'm going back and forth for like 10 minutes. Okay, 1 or 5.
Just go with your gut.
First instinct.
1.
That's correct.
Tiebreaker.
Tiebreaker.
Tiebreaker. I will read the tiebreaker.
Go for it,
Because
Liz.
I had to dig. All right. Makes me wish British people were real.
British peepers.
British people were real. I can't talk today. Jesus Christ.
I got my British papers on.
My
I'm
British
gonna go
people.
take a look.
My British people.
I sure do love my new British papers.
Am I going for Olivia Colman or discount Olivia Colman? I know I'm going.
It's as good as Andrew Garfield's
And-
really good American accent. Good
All
thing.
Is this time to get on my
Spider-Man.
soapbox where I think Andrew Garfield is not that great an actor, and I feel like we've been overpraising him for about 10 years?
It's the fact that Zach pointed out, and now I cannot see it, where his main actor choice is to just kind of have his mouth open when he doesn't really know what else to do. And now I can't stop noticing it.
I just rewatched Tick Tick Boom, and God, that's a terrible performance.
I can't.
Bad
You
performance.
want to reach out and go.
Well, it just reminded me of the Pikachu meme, and it just made it even worse.
Or that video of that guy who's feeding Ryan Gosling cereal whenever he opened his mouth a little too long from like a few years back.
Oh my god. Okay. So what is this? Do we both pick a which one?
Pick a which one?
Yeah.
we count
like,
down.
I do
Someone
one.
says something. You both say something at the
Alright.
same time.
Or you want
All
to?
right.
I'll read it
don't-
again, and you buzz, and then you'll give me an answer.
We'll count down from 3 and we'll say our answer at the same time.
Okay.
Okay.
Makes me wish British people were real.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, 5. God damn it.
You're both correct.
Awesome.
Liz, we gotta get another one. We can't end like this.
Been together
Okay.
for
Okay.
7
I have
years.
another. Okay. I have another one. This almost had a kill count.
Okay.
Ooh.
Okay. I think
Okay, you want to count down again?
yeah.
3, 2, 1,
1.
5.
Okay, cool.
Zach
Zach
wins.
said 5, I said 1.
Zach wins.
Zach-
Yay!
And bravo, congratulations. We had a real game here.
Your
We went into
prize.
double overtime.
I
It's
look
in the
for
mail.
I look for letterboxings for another podcast. I'll spend 20 minutes looking just to dig through stuff. So like, it's a long process.
Mm-hmm. So, on that note, now's the time we go into a mid-show, and then we'll come back and talk about A Christmas Carol for the 900th time. All right. Hey guys, sorry to interrupt you in the middle of the show, but we've got a show to you. Today's show is brought to you by the extremely kind donations by our donors over at Patreon. And Patreon's this wonderful place where you can get tons of cool shit, including patron-only podcasts, commentaries, an entirely different podcast where we're talking about Has-Been Hotel eventually, as well
We're
as
working on it.
video. As well as video episodes where you can see our beautiful faces. You can see Zach and Cassie's apartment and half of each of their faces right now.
Yeah,
Dan, usually you lie, but that was actually true.
that's true. That's true. Their camera shot.
Oh my gosh, Cassie's doing a backflip. How'd she do that? I didn't know you could do that. Oh, and Zach is literally flying. Oh, you will never
like
be able
Peter
to.
Pan.
He is
He's
being.
like Peter
Oh no,
Pan.
he crashed. Oh, he's
Okay.
bleeding out.
Zach will be in the hospital for the remainder of this podcast.
You will not be able to tell whether we're lying or telling the truth unless you join us on Patreon. So you better hop
It's
on over there.
impossible to tell.
Yeah, you
Impossible.
can't.
There's no
Possible.
way you could
Yeah,
even
just
guess.
wonder if Zach is alive. You have to join our Patreon.
He's a ghost for the rest of this episode. It ties thematically to what the topic is for the second half of this. But those people currently supporting us on Patreon are Melissa Goldman, Danielle Rennick, Justice Stampedio, and Cassie, Monica Thoreau, Brent Black, Nathaniel, Stacey Coombe, Mary Lou Choquette, John Van Al's Russ Walker, Musical Hell, Emily Gracie, Janae C, Scoot in the Technicolor Dreamcoat, Nothing is Certain Except Beth and Taxes, John Van Al's again, Thespian, Mitchell Young, Chai Teacup, Chris Marcotte, Kiji Marie Anastasio, Trevi Joseph, RJ Noriga, Juliet McClennan, Bjorn Hermans, Toriana Frazier, Sammy, the Adequate Amount, Jacobson, Kaylee Blazier, Villainous Miss, Sophiana Ali, The Omega Geek, Paige Pearson, Maddie Wargol, Elisa Erdman, Anna Loskatova, Sarah Den Blekier, Evan Ball, Zachary Torres, Rora Marasso, Mara, Lisa L, Possessed Washing Machine, Nick Roten, Puffy Boy, Anna Beal, Billy Clifton Gold, Played a Kiki Mora, Julia Balsder Daughter, Emma Carabalda, Socialist Whore, and JRL Studios. They all give us money to keep this show going, and somehow the show just keeps on going. And the beat goes on, as Cher once said.
If I may add, Thespian is a great name.
It is a great name. And
not to call out one person more than the other, but Thespian's a great name.
I think they're all tied for first place in great names. And if you want to chat with all these people and be like, hey, I want them to be my best friend, we also have a Discord chat where everyone is always chatting and talking away and sending all the cool things. And I tend to send bootlegs through there. When people request bootlegs, I just kind of send them. So you get some cool perks over there. So I think you should join us over on Patreon. But I might be a little biased. But hey, let's get back to the show and talk about A Christmas Carol Goes Wrong.
Oh, I forgot to mention I got better.
So just one short year after Peter Pan Goes Wrong aired, A Christmas Carol Goes Wrong on December 30th, 2017, with all the returning cast, except this time they are putting on a semi-idea of a live performance, a la Hairspray Live, Peter Pan Live, which I thought was a bigger and bolder idea, and I think one-upped it the way that all sequels should one-up their predecessor. Andrew, we have covered A Christmas Carol, without hyperbole, so many fucking times on this show.
We even performed it ourselves.
We did. I forgot about that, but yes, we did do that. How does this
Christmas Carol is a nightmare.
I'm willing to bet this is your favorite version of A Christmas Carol.
That can't be true because the Muppets Christmas Carol exists.
Exactly.
But this is up there. There's some good gags. I did notice they use a lot of the same gags that they use in Peter Pan. Although I think it's a character thing. They're doing running themes, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I said, they're not just playing like people that are in a show that is going terribly. They're playing actors that are they have their own quirks and how they are bad at this.
Yeah. So the guy in Peter Pan who had headphones on telling him every line now has words written all over the set, telling him all of his lines. Which seems like particularly more effort than just memorizing your lines.
See, what the only part of it that throws me off is knowing that the conceit of Christmas Carol is that they're commandeering a live production that was already supposed to happen. So that means at some point they snuck in, painted all those lines, and then hoped no one would notice.
I think it's implied more so that in like the 3 minutes before that character showed up, they had done all that work.
Well,
like,
also
it was like that quickly.
Like the minute they commandeer it, the guy whoever gets his lines goes up to one of the production people
Yeah.
who's working with him. Is like, "Hey, I don't know my lines. What the hell am I gonna do?" And they're like, "I have a plan," and then they run off, and that's when they write all the stuff all over the set in order of where she needs to say it.
Yeah,
Cartoon logic. It's fine.
Cartoon logic.
Yeah.
Yes.
just bonkers.
That's exactly
Just
what it
write
is.
cue cards. Just write cue cards in this case. Like it's easy.
I think something that I wanted to discuss with both of these kind of is I really like that there is these like it's like there's the Christmas Carol show that's happening that you kind of barely care about because you're just here to watch it fall apart. But there's also like other storylines that you are like meant to care about where it's like the actors their secrets are getting revealed and like there's like a character arc with that. Like in Peter Pan, there was the guy who was in love with the one girl, and you wanted to see him win, but he couldn't date.
You just described every story ever right there in the most broad terms.
Yeah, but he's playing the crocodile, and he
Okay,
wanted
there
to
we
play
go.
Peter Pan. I wasn't done explaining it. You interrupted me halfway through.
Mom, Dad, please stop fighting. I have friends over.
Jesus Christ, this guy.
You know what? This is
and then
why
in,
we don't
uh,
make love anymore.
And then in Christmas Carol, there's it's a similar one where the guy wanted to play Scrooge, but he didn't get to.
It's a different
so you
guy.
get
This
to
is a
see
different guy who you're
different
referring
guy. Yes, and it's like you get these like payoffs to it, which is nice. Since the show itself is just a complete disaster, so if you didn't have these, it would be kind of just a mess.
to. Well, also
And
there's
there's
the
not
part where
just
they're
one-
constantly
Oh, sorry.
beating up Derek Jacobi as he's trying to get back to it. Like, this is my show, and they keep knocking him out and hitting him with cars and like
Putting him in the coffin.
putting him in the coffin, and then he just drops out and tries to escape.
I can't say more without spoiling their other show, so I'm going to say Diana Rigg shows up, and I love Diana Rigg, so I'm very happy.
Aunt Diana. Put respect on her name.
Yes, Aunt Diana. May
Aunt
she rest
Diana.
in peace.
In
Uh,
one of her final performances, I think, before she died.
Yes, I think it only gets beaten by Last Night in Soho by just a few years.
Yeah, it's like wild to think that one of her
yeah.
last roles was hitting Derek Jacobi with a car.
Yeah, Last Night in Soho was the last, and then after Christmas Carol was The Snail and the Whale. All
Wait,
Creatures Great. The
Wait,
Snail and the Whale.
Are those two separate projects? Like, is she in a film called The Snail and then also with Brendan Fraser?
No, it's called The Snail and the Whale. It's an animated film, and she narrates it.
This is a tale of a tiny snail and a great big whale.
I want her to narrate just Brendan Fraser's character from The Whale finding a snail in his nasty fucking apartment.
Her last show, and her last major project besides Soho was the FX show Black Narcissus.
But is this overall better or worse than the Peter Pan Goes Wrong? Like, not that it really matters. I feel like it is kind of like some more of the same cake, but maybe a couple extra sprinkles. But do you like the sprinkles?
Well, I guess I'll go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't sure that was directed.
So,
I'm just acting.
Yeah,
It's just for conversation pieces.
me personally, I like Peter Pan better because I like the wire work going wrong. I think that was very funny. Because haha, big fall is always great. You love to see that. But I do think they're both funny, and I think that it's a good double feature almost, since they're both supposed to be Christmas specials, I guess.
Yeah, I also will say I like Peter Pan more than the Christmas Carol one. But even then, it's still like, why do I only will pick because you're making me choose. I enjoy both of them so much. One cute detail, because you brought up Max and Sandra, their romance arc through the two movies. They are actually dating in real life.
What?
What?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so cute.
Yeah, so
my
it's
heart.
it is really cute. Max, the actor that plays Max, Dave, has temporarily left the group, I believe, because he wanted to do other acting projects.
Sure.
But to my knowledge, they are. I know they were together for a long time, and I believe they still are. But it's a very cute addition to the thing.
I don't know if you agree with this, but there is a different vibe to art when you can tell people have kissed. Like you and Cassie, for one. Like your podcast is different because I can tell you all have kissed at one point, and me and Andrew as well. Like our podcast is different because you can tell that we've kissed quite a bit.
Yeah, they're actually married.
It's true.
It's an unknown fact that they're married.
I go through
For tax
doing
reasons.
all podcast
Yeah, for
hosts.
tax reasons.
At one point, at any given point, I feel like if you work closely together, and especially in more performative spaces, you either have kissed or are in love. Those are the only two. If you
Wait,
continue to work together,
So
can you
just
kiss
so
someone
every
without
listener
being
knows,
in love?
Just so now every listener knows and is not confused, we are in a 5-person polycule right now.
the way though that I only saw the four camera blocks on the computer and went, Zach, there's only 4 of us. 5 is wrong.
What a weird relationship this
Interesting.
is. And I feel like it would just involve me and Andrew playing Mario Kart all night.
Lol.
Don't hate the player, hate the double dash.
Yeah, why would you play Double Dash? Like, that's the worst choice.
Yeah, Zach, that's the worst choice.
Yeah, Zach.
There were
You know what? You're out of the
cheap
polycule. Get out, Zach. Pack your shit.
This polycule's gone wrong.
Well, speaking of podcasting gone wrong, what is our overall thoughts on Peter Pan and A Christmas Carol gone wrong and our cheese ratings? Andrew, go first.
Oh man. I think that they're very silly. I don't think there's like much like deep going on here. There's not really much to analyze other than it is funny when everyone falls down and goes boom. And I laughed every time. And that's really all I was looking for, and they nailed it. I'm trying to think of like a cheese that could go wrong, and I don't know if I can think of a cheese gone wrong right now. So
I mean, in a way, all cheese is milk that's gone wrong.
Yeah.
It's true.
is that true? That
is
might
true.
be true. Which I guess that actually is a fitting cheese rating. Milk that's gone wrong. Because this is a show that goes wrong, but now it's still enjoyable.
Gotta
So
put my
milk that
brace
goes
peepers on
wrong-
because it looks like the milk's gone wrong, governor.
And if it turns into cheese, then it's still good, you know? So that's actually a pretty good one, but I feel like I'm stealing it from you. In which case, I don't care. I'm going to steal it from you.
Very American of you, Andrew.
Thank you.
Colonizer.
Yeah. Liz, what about you?
It's fun. It's all fun. I worked on Peter Pan in high school, on the stage
go
crew.
wrong?
So, it did not go wrong. No one had funny head injuries.
Dang. It was a high school production, so
man,
arguably it was always a little wrong.
Yeah, it always goes a little wrong because we did the racist version of Uggawug because the non-racist one
Oh!
didn't exist yet.
Ooh.
So
So that didn't go wrong. It started
it
wrong.
started wrong and it kept getting worse.
Now, Liz, you had some indigenous actors in those roles, right? You would never do anything. Oh!
Yeah. I went to a high school named after Bayard Rustin, a queer civil rights leader who is known widely for his amazing work, and I went to a very white high school. So
they thought, what was the costumes like? I'm sure they were appropriate and they like understated it.
Yeah, they weren't the ones made from the Indian-inspired fabric that you can get at Joann's in the costuming section. Surely it wasn't made out of that.
honest answer, I don't remember what the Native American actors were. I blanked it out because I was too focused on the pirates because that was the part that wasn't offensive.
You sound like everyone that's directed Peter Pan ever.
Basically, yeah.
I'm trying to decide which is less comfortable. This idea of white high schoolers dressed as Native Americans, or my high school production of Les Mis that then required several high school girls to dress like prostitutes.
Oh, we also did Les Mis, and we had a bunch of high schoolers dressed like prostitutes.
Oh, can I tell my horrible high school story that I don't think I've told? I'm so sorry.
Oh,
Yeah,
please.
we'll go around the room. We'll share one story each.
Yeah.
I forgot about this, and I don't think I've told it on the podcast. And while we're still talking about musical theater, I need to have this one out there on the record. So, my senior year, they put on Pearly, and we are a predominantly African American school, so that show kind of makes sense. But they cast a white woman in the lead, and that character is black, so they told her to get a tan, and then they put pancake batter on her face by the end of it. And I didn't see that show, but I heard the rumors, and I was like, I'm very grateful I didn't audition for that show.
Oh, boy.
I heard horror stories about just like, oh my God, we did this? We did this?
Fucking Michigan, man.
Jesus Christ.
2014. Not that long ago, guys. And no one said shit because no one saw the show.
Nobody needed to see it.
Okay.
If a tree falls in a woods,
For
make
the
a
sake
sound.
of context for the Peter Pan thing, I'll explain the cycle of my high school's drama choices when I was there.
Yes, please.
9th grade, Les Mis, high school prostitutes. 10th grade, West Side Story.
Oh,
Already established I went to a very white high school.
So I'm sure they casted those appropriately, like Puerto Rican actors.
Well, I mean, in fairness, if you're doing West Side Story and you cast a bunch of white people, you're only being true to the original movie.
That is accurate.
That's
yes.
true.
For half
That
of
is
the
true.
casting.
Yeah, it wasn't. There's some choices made. I'm not going to get into it. Peter Pan, white Native Americans. We kept them white though. At least there's no makeup.
Thank God.
It's my senior year of high school. We realized we went a little too far on the weird race thing, so we just did Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, the whitest show you can think of.
Hell yeah, though. Hell yeah, brother. Love that shit.
I do kind of love the idea of like a school realizing they don't have any indigenous people to play Native Americans for Peter Pan, so they just rewrite them to all be cowboys.
That we should have done that. That's brilliant. My God. Yeah, but yeah, it was my senior show, and I hated it so much I did curtains because I didn't want to be on stage changing sets. I was like, I'll do curtains. I don't want to deal with the sets. I hate this show. Anyway, that's my high school. That's my high school bullshit. But yeah, I did Peter
What's
Pan.
your cheese rating?
I did Peter Pan. It can go very wrong. I found it funny. It's Christmas Carol isn't as good, but you should watch it anyway. It's only an hour, and it's pretty funny still. I'm going to give this Shropshire blue cheese because it's cheese that went wrong because it's British and it's blue cheese, which I hate.
Wow.
Colonizer cheese. All right. Zach, you're next.
I mean, I love these. I don't know how many times I've watched them both. I watch the Christmas Carol one, I think, every Christmas. The Peter Pan one I put on when I just want something on that makes me happy. I love these both. And for my cheese rating, I'm going to give it yogurt because I was trying to make cheese and it went wrong. I made the wrong kind of curdled milk.
Fair enough. Cassie, how about you?
Mm-hmm. I love any iteration of Peter Pan so much so I have the little stars tattooed on my arm. Second star to the right.
Hey.
So I love and just absolutely my favorite. I've seen so many fucking iterations of A Christmas Carol. It's a wonderful, awesome, delicious story, but it gets a little old after a while. And so I give this cheese rating, specifically the black diamond white cheddar spreadable cheese that you can get at Costco, because there's context for this. When I was a kid, I was obsessed. So every year for my birthday and for Christmas, my grandma would get me my own tub of the black diamond white cheddar sharp cheddar spreadable cheese, and I would eat that shit up, and it was so good until one day it just wasn't good anymore. Did not like it. Can't stand the stuff now. However, it is still something where I think back on the days where I did just annihilate entire. This is like an ice cream pint of cheese. It was not a small amount of cheese, brother, just with a spoon. So I think about my fond memories and going, wow, I sure do wish I still liked that cheese. And that is why both as a union, Peter Pan Goes Wrong and Christmas Carol Go Wrong are both black diamond sharp white cheddar spreadable cheese.
Well, that's a mouthful, but I love it.
That's
Great
amazing.
choice.
No one's ever going to pick that one again.
Genuinely, though, if you see it, get it. I remember it being awesome.
All right.
I'm going to wrap this up really quick with my thought. Bold opinion. I like Christmas Carol better. There we go. Got to throw that bomb right out there.
Disgusting. Nobody falls down in that one.
I just hope both teams have fun.
Yeah.
I
realize I'm making bracelets out of my work, out of a book they made for my Chitty Bang Bang production. This is stage.
Oh, wow.
That's me.
That's an awful lot of honkies.
I just see a sea of white children.
Yeah. White children.
The reflectivity off your faces is blinding me.
I mean, for
I know,
Chitty
right?
Chitty Bang Bang, that's fine.
It's fine. It's very white.
Ooh, what did you guys use for the car?
Oh, we built a car.
Like out of wood and like actual stuff, or was it
Us,
cardboard?
one
Regular
of the
Henry Ford
parents
over
made
here.
like an apparatus, a thing that actually drove. Me and my other friend from stage crew actually tested it in between shows because we have fall show and then
Gotcha.
musical. So we did a test of the actual mechanism, and then the dads built a car around the mechanism, and then we had an actual car.
Far out. That's so cool.
Yeah,
If they were
I
my
didn't build
school,
the
they'd
car.
probably drive it off the stage. Like, I could just see that disaster waiting to happen.
I wanted to drive it off the stage, but I was too busy building a porta potty by myself. So that's where I was at.
Cheese rating, diet cheese. It's vegan. It's good. But it's cheese gone wrong.
Diet cheese?
Giving it fucking vegan
A
cheese.
diet cheese.
DAIYA.
Yeah.
Yeah, I work at a
melts
grocery
like
store.
cheddar. Melts like dairy. Only 100 calories. The difference of Dia oat cream blend.
Is
I
that
say
the
that, but
one
it
you
does
like,
not melt the same.
When Dia first came out, it was really terrible garbage cheese. They've refined their recipe, so now it's not terrible, but nah. Best vegan cheese, and I will die on this hill. Chow. CHAO. It's just subtly sweet, nice and mild in flavor. It's white.
a great quality that Cassie loves in everything. It's
Yeah,
white.
especially Chitty Chitty Bang Bang Productions.
Especially Peter Pan casts.
Yep.
Cassie, Zach, thank you guys for joining us. I hope you had a good time. I really do.
It's a great time.
I love talking about things I actually know about.
Though that would be making her guess random bullshit.
Yeah.
Promote your socials and your other podcast work and all that nonsense.
Okay. Do you want to take this one, Cassie, since I did the first one?
Yeah, sure. So if you enjoyed listening to me and Zach banter and quietly yell at each other, you can hear more of us at Who Is My Doctor? We are available anywhere that you can get your podcasts on social medias. So X, the Instagram, and I think
we're on Twitter, Blue Sky, Threads, and Instagram at WimDpod. That's WIMDPOD. We are available wherever you get your podcasts, even on some platforms I've never heard of before, but somehow we still get listens there because that's just how the internet works.
And I like to give a little recommendation for podcast episodes and videos when we have those on our show. I think that you guys have really hit your stride and you're getting really out there. I think honestly the most recent episodes like on Genesis of the Daleks is a pretty good jumping on point to kind of get what it's about without having to like watch a whole season.
I will interrupt, and this is for you guys. So I love the Daleks so much. I really didn't know how much I liked the Fourth Doctor until I made the whole scarf. I made the whole thing. So I also agree. Genesis of the Daleks, a good time, a wonderful time. My favorite, apparently.
Amazing. And I believe it. And I this is just me, my hyperfixation, because Liz and Andrew could give a fuck about Doctor Who, so this is just me living my bliss.
Yeah, I know vaguely about Doctor Who, but only because
Jesse, if it helps anything, Cassie could also.
I love sex education, so I love Shooty. Oh.
Jesse, if it makes you feel any better, when we started this, Cassie also could give less of a fuck about Doctor Who, and I roped her into this anyway.
Jesse, you have a way to rope us in. You have a way.
I went to the Renaissance Fair dressed up as Tom Baker. I won't say that I'm a fan, but boy, oh boy, did I like walking around having people go, Doctor!
I for those of you that might want to watch Doctor Who, 90% of it's garbage, and I say that as a fan.
Anyways,
I know there's a lot of Whovians in our Discord, but I just know for the other third, they're like, "What the fuck are they talking about?" Get.
That's me.
Yeah,
that's me. Hi, I don't know what that is.
What's a Dalek? I don't know any of this stuff. I'm gonna turn on Survivor. Speaking of Survivor,
don't make fun of me.
Thank you all for listening. Please follow us on iTunes and Spotify at Musicals with Cheese. We're on Twitter at Cheesy Musicals. We're on Patreon at Musicals with Cheese, Instagram Musicals with Cheese, YouTube page Musicals with Cheese, Patreon only podcast, Patreon with Cheese. Email us at musicaltheaterlives@gmail.com to tell us how wrong we are about all the things that we have opinions on. You know, you're going to do it anyway. Our keep of the cheese is Juliet Antonio. I love you, Juliet. Cassie, why don't you try giving us a little ASMR? Juliet Antonio writes ASMR, and so every time we have a guest, we have them do a little whisper in there. So why don't you both go and give a little whisper into the microphone?
Any topic of your choice.
Yeah, you can be literally any word.
I'll say it once, and I've said it again. A little guy is simply a little guy. Nothing more, nothing less.
Oh, is it my turn? Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Damn. Hang on. Gotta get all set up here.
Ew, what?
Okay.
What did to do to die today at a bit of a 2 to 2?
Ew.
A thing distinctly hard to say, but harder still to do.
Okay, Cassie wins. This show is edited by Andrew DeWolf. Our themes are created by Robyn, Nash, Value, Music UK. Thank you to the Broadway Podcast Network for having us on the platform and for not kicking us off for whatever it was Zach just did. All right. Anything else
For
we
a
have left to
musical podcast, for you to not know about Gilbert and Sullivan offends me as a person.
I know about we did a whole Gilbert and Sullivan thing. We'll see you next time on Musicals with Cheese.